Some have said that our only real competitive advantage in the global economy is our brains. You're dubious about an innovation agenda.
I'm not doubtful about the importance of brains. I do think the most important resource is the human resource. It's great that we have all these minerals and oil and wood, but yeah, it's what we think up and what we create that helps us to succeed. And I wish we could find ways to make Canada more innovative. We're not that bad at it already. I mean, this is a very prosperous, wealthy society, in part because we're pretty good workers. We're pretty smart at making things and pulling them out of the ground. But look, this is a fact, and these guys can't debate it. The governor of the Bank of Canada, his name is Mark Carney, he's giving all these speeches about the fact that Canada is not very productive compared to the United States and some of its other competitors. 15 years ago, the governor of the Bank of Canada gave all these speeches about the fact that Canada isn't very productive and can't compete with the United States and other competitors. 30 years ago, the governor of the Bank of Canada was giving the same speeches. That's what I mean when I say nothing seems to work.
That's evidence that people are repeating themselves. It's not evidence that actually something hasn't changed. You know, we also have to play to our strengths. I mean, there are some things that it's harder for us to be really good at, and some things that are easy for us to be really good at. So, for example, Canada has a great tradition when it comes to medical technologies, pharma. That's an area where we can play, and if we actually dedicate some resources, some smart public policy, we try to free up what's going on in the private sector and attract some activity and some chemistry, we can actually stand with anybody on the global stage. That's the kind of thing that you need to do. Don't pick companies, don't pick projects, but sort of say, look, here in this area, we can see activity going. What can we do as one piece of the puzzle, as government, to make a contribution that will help to propel us? And then make sure you tell everybody.
Kathleen, I got a very specific question for you, because in another segment you talked about dead money. Corporations sitting on huge piles of cash.
Half a trillion.
All of the people who do work on innovation and prosperity and competitiveness say part of the problem is that businesses in Canada do not spend enough on research development, equipment, and technology. You're the Minister of Finance. How do you get those businesses to start investing in those tools of innovation?
I've left Canada, by the way, if you're Minister of Finance. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, there'll still be room for you. You give them incentives. You give them incentives to develop things. As Minister of Finance, if you spend your money, you can earn a tax credit. For instance, one of the policies that we've put forward in the past has been if you keep employees or you develop new products, you can get a tax credit of up to $4,500. This is an incentive that government can act on. But I would say what's a disincentive to innovation is when you muzzle scientists, when you cut back on research grants, when you attack NGOs and nonprofits for doing certain kinds of research. This is not productive to creating innovation in our country. When you muzzle polar scientists, this is not going to help
but
our further development.
Let me look at muzzling another way, because I think it comes back where John was a moment ago. I think we're very humble to muzzle ourselves in Canada. We have, for example, on the East Coast, born of that resourcefulness and brains, one of the world-leading industries in ocean technologies. It's there. It's generating hundreds of millions of dollars. Corporate Canada and the government don't do a very good job of telling the rest of the world about those success stories. Part of innovation is selling what you have and selling the opportunities that you have. So if we're going to have a discussion about innovation, we have to talk about how we get the world to listen to the things that we have and the springboard that creates for other opportunities here.
But having those Canadian champions, which is what you're referring to, having a real Canadian championing, is about having a government that can inspire companies to be a Canadian champion.
The government is inspiring you, you're in trouble. I think it comes again where we started this very conversation. It comes from the individual, not being encumbered by government, but enabled by government. If you're waiting to be inspired by government, you've got a long way.
Let me add one last thing quickly. Businesses, when it comes to R&D, which you raised, Allan, they want to invest in applied research and commercialization. Right?
Commercialization.
Take an idea that already exists, and then how do we throw a little bit of more R&D to package it right, to make it something that I can make money off of. That's natural. If you look around the world, basic science is really only done with government intervention. So you keep coming back to the role of government. This is a place where the role of government is important. We should be continuing to put money into our universities, into research facilities. Basic science, if that research isn't done with public dollars, it probably doesn't get done, and 20 years down the road, you're going to find that pipeline of ideas is hollow.
And that concludes our discussion on innovation.